The state of my fridge is so sad. This is everything that we have. And some milk. So I'm gonna go for the bagel because that's, again, all that I have, and then I'll have it with some eggs, and I still have some avocado so I can make a good breakfast, which is nice because I have leg day planned. Usually I just eat at the office. I don't tend to eat first thing in the morning, but again, because I have my leg day planned, I will have some food before. Now, usually I don't have many carbs in the morning. I am fine with training without having any carbs beforehand because I'm usually still full from the evening before, and it just really messes up my energy levels. So what I'm doing instead usually is having proteins and fats, but as I was doing my leg day and it was a little bit later, I was like, let me have a bagel in there as well. So I have 3 eggs, 1 whole avocado, and then a bagel, which is probably around 20-ish grams of protein, healthy fats from the avocado and the egg yolk, and then carbs from the bagel. So a pretty balanced breakfast. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my very non-aesthetic gym morning routine, which is usually what my life honestly looks like. I tend to rush from A to B, have a million things on my to-do list, and then forget half of what I needed to do in the meantime. And so I thought filming with my phone would make a lot of sense for this video. I am now taking the dog out for a little walk. There she is. Hey, girlfriend. And then we're going to the office to train. I actually have my makeup there, so I'll be getting ready there. And that is because when I run in the morning, I don't wear makeup because it clogs my pores and I get breakouts. I don't have that issue whenever I'm just training because I don't really sweat as much. So then it's fine and I can just, you know, do my makeup before, but when I'm running, I'd like to do my makeup after. So I just tend to leave it there. So we'll be getting ready at the office, and then it's time for our leg day, which I am very excited for, actually. I feel pretty recovered. I had my breakfast, as you saw. I had my bagel with 3 eggs and then an avocado. So I'm energized and I'm ready to go train. So we're going on a little walk, and then I'll see you at the office. You want to see my latte art? I'll show you. I've been using this Glotion by L'Oreal, and it's been really nice, especially as a base for training. It gives a bit of a glowy look, not really high coverage, but it does give some coverage, but I just like having like that healthy glow going on. And then I use the lighter color on the center of my face. I saw one of my first posts on Instagram the other day, as I was mainly posting photos back then and a caption with information about training. And as I was seeing it, and this is not coming from an insecure place or from an imposter place, but as I was just looking at the things that I've uploaded, delusion gets you so far in life, and especially whenever you are in your 20s, just try every single thing that you can possibly think of wanting to do. Like, go super fast at life, because whenever you are in your 20s, you most often didn't get humbled by life as much yet. So the older that you get, the more experience that you have, the more things that you have gone through, and just the more humbled that most people get, and therefore you're not as naive anymore. And so whenever you are in your 20s, like I was when I started social, just try absolutely everything that you ever wanted to do. Like, go travel, go switch jobs, quit your study, try something else. Because the older that you get, the harder it is to make those jumps, because you're not as naive anymore. When I started social, I was so naive and so delusional. I just knew me sharing all this information about fitness would help a lot of women, and therefore I could make it my job. Like, I knew that that was the case. But when I look back at what I uploaded and what I created, I'm like, I was so delusional. And I'm so happy that I was so delusional, and I'm so happy that I tried it then. But now, knowing what I know now, I don't think I would have started it then, which is a crazy thought, because I created this, community, and I have my app, and I help thousands of women live a healthier lifestyle, which is the biggest blessing that I could ever ask for. But knowing that I would have never started it anymore right now is just a crazy thought. And so if you are in your 20s, just go try absolutely everything that's in your head, because it only gets harder as you age. And I would probably say the same when I'm 40 about me being in my 30s, because I probably will get humbled so much more by life. And I don't mean that in necessarily a bad way, like a lot of bad things will happen to you, but it's just that as you age, people around you, they will also age, and people experience different things, they go through different things, and not every, you don't feel as invincible anymore, and not everything always works out as you may have planned it. And things may work out even better, there might be plans for you or outcomes for you that are so much better than you could have ever imagined. And it's now just a preparation phase for it. But still, you are in your 20s, you have this sense of delusion, and I think leaning into that and leaning into that risk-taking ability will get you so far. You know what? I've been reflecting on what I just said. And in all honesty, knowing what I know now, I would still do exactly the same thing, even though I said that I probably wouldn't. And the reason being, and the reason why I keep doing new things and doing new projects, is because you learn so much about yourself and about your ability and about the world in the process. And I always say it's the same with training, with going through a physical transformation, going through a mental transformation. In the end, the journey is all that counts. There's never an end goal to achieve, because you always keep moving the post. It's about who you become in the process, and looking back on where you were years ago and then how you handle things differently now. That is the end goal. And so knowing that, I would fully probably do exactly the same, knowing what I know now, if I were 10 years younger again. I think that there are ideas in the world, and if something comes to you, then it's there for a reason, and it's for you to explore if you want to. Doesn't mean that you have to jump on every single new thing, but I do think that those thoughts are given to you for you to explore. And it might not work out how you envision it to work out, but it might be for the better. Because I have been going through situations in my life where things didn't work out the way that I wanted them to work out, but sometimes things serve a greater good that you cannot see, because obviously your thought processes are limited, and it's often limited by what you see in your environment or things that people might have achieved that you think is the best possible outcome, but you don't have that capability to look from the biggest perspective. Anyways, that was such a ramble about my first Instagram posts ever. I am doing a leg session today. It is the second one of the week. I have 3 planned, and then I do isolation for the glutes in between my leg sessions, just to go on a very high frequency approach or protocol to see how my body responds to it and if it leads to more muscle gains, glute gains to be specific. I do think that I have to look at my total volume again, because the thought of having to do multiple sets of hip thrusts today is too much. And so I really have to factor in that I also train my back on my non-leg days. And so I think it's a bit too much for my lower back, because I've been doing back extensions, I've been doing bent over rows, and my lower back is involved in those movements, same as when I do RDLs or hip thrusts. So I think I will scale down or redistribute the volume slightly. I'm already running a low volume program, but I think that I can probably lower it even further, and just to see how my body responds to it. And that's also the reason why I don't release programs before I run them through myself, because something can look really nice in theory, but then still not work in real life. And so I constantly have to make adjustments. But if it works, I will release it, but obviously I still have to test it. I have a coffee here, by the way. We are starting this leg day with walking on a treadmill. You can also go on a bike, just to get your heart rate up slightly, get some blood flow going, and then I'm moving on to dynamic work. You know, I'm a big fan of dynamic exercises. It's great to work your mobility. It makes moving through space a lot better and easier as a person. I am doing some lateral squats, and then I did some overhead squats. Both exercises look significantly more easy than that they actually are. I remember the first time trying overhead squats, and it was the worst thing I've ever done. So if you try these exercises, always make sure that you try them with body weight first before you actually start adding resistance, and just kind of go through the movement, because training is a skill, and you'll notice quickly that movement patterns become a lot better and feel a lot more natural if you do them a bit more frequently. But especially with new training styles or new exercises or new movement patterns, you have to get in the rhythm of things. You have to try them a couple of times, and the first times it will feel really awkward and unnatural, but then you'll notice that you'll progress very, very quickly. Same with an overhead squat or with a lateral squat. Those are movement patterns that you don't naturally tend to go through, so they can kind of feel a bit more awkward, but they're great for you. I would highly recommend investing some time in just doing some mobility work. You can pick 4 exercises and just focus on them and repeat them every single leg day or upper body day, and then just make sure that you get better at executing them. It's not meant to fatigue you, it's just meant to mobilize you and to prep you and to prime you, and as time goes on, you'll notice that they will go so much easier. One thing I learned during this whole training process is that the exercises that you hate doing are most often the exercises that you should be doing, because you are more often than not lacking in the strength or in the skill department, and therefore training it will make you become better at it, which will make it become more enjoyable. But there's just something about the hip thrust that I just never seem to enjoy. But maybe in 30 days I will speak differently about it. Not sure though. So I'm lifting barefoot, which I have been doing for quite a while. I do get some comments about it, not very often though, but just every once in a while. And it's honestly the best thing ever. I have much better grip. I use the entirety of my foot whenever I'm lifting, instead of just, for example, using some toes or just my heel. And I just noticed that I have such great balance and stability when I lift barefoot. Obviously not really doable in a regular or public gym. Next up is the glute focused hyperextension as the hip hinge. This exercise is hardest for your glutes at the lengthened position, which is at the bottom of the rep. With this exercise, I always do a drop set. So I first do my reps with added weight, and then I would drop the weight once I no longer can do the reps with the weight, and then I would rep out body weight. Unless I have 2 plates, then I would just drop 1 plate, continue with the second plate, and then after I can no longer do any reps with any resistance, I would drop it until I can do body weight reps. And then it was time for a unilateral exercise, which is the step up for today. And I did it on a bench with a dumbbell holding on to the squat rack. That was the glutes portion of the workout. I do have a little bit of quads work, which I will do next. I'm doing a Smith machine squat that is focused on the quads, as I said. Therefore, I will have a closer stance, or a slightly closer stance. I want to give you a bit of a summary of what has been going on, because I'm currently on day 3 of my new glute protocol, which is where I'm training my glutes 3 days a week, and then I do isolation in between with 1 full rest day, but I'm keeping volume quite low, as I did before. I was on a low volume program. I respond really well to it, but now my frequency is insanely high, just as a bit of a test to see how it goes. And I'm currently on day 3 and my glutes feel like rocks, which is amazing. I love that feeling. So I wasn't training for a while before starting this program, or not as frequently, because I first got food poisoning and then I got sick after. So I was like in and out of life, basically. And now that I'm back training again, even though it's only day 3, like your muscles will get fuller again, and that feeling is just great, because then you feel your muscles whenever you're walking and moving around, and you feel so much stronger. That's what I'm currently getting now, and it's only been day 3, so that's really exciting. I love that feeling. So yeah, I can't wait to finish those 30 days. It's not like this is an increase in muscle mass. That wouldn't be enough time. It's just that because all that water now gets drawn into your muscles again, you are a bit more fuller, you don't feel as flat, which is great. And I remember when I first started training, I experienced soreness to an extent where I was like, I can never ever train for the life of me, because I can't even walk, and it's insane what I'm experiencing. And I just wanted to let you know that if you are going to the gym consistently, you will not get that level of dumps again. I hardly ever, actually I've never gotten that level of soreness again. I remember almost getting sick from how sore I was when I just started getting into the gym regularly. I haven't been consistent in the last month, but now that I'm back into it, I do feel some fatigue, but nothing like I can't walk or anything. And that's what I remember experiencing when I just started going to the gym. So things will get better. I hardly ever experience soreness anymore. Maybe when I start doing something that I'm fully new to, or like an extremely new phase of a program, but usually my movement patterns stay similar, so I don't experience soreness then. But it's good to be feeling pumped again. I feel stronger, and it's exciting. That's my dog scratching her own ear. But yeah, it's exciting, and I cannot wait to finish those 30 days, and also to finish my bagel with chocolate sprinkles. So I'm going to have this, and then I'll edit this video, so I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye guys.